welcome to my Jared Carthalion 5-color Planeswalker tribal deck. This is a deck that I have made many times over. The commander's changed, but right now I'm just using Jared just because he's on flavor, you know, and he can also create a token every turn, maybe return something from my grave to my hand, but he's really there just to be a Planeswalker heading a Planeswalker deck. So we're going to start out with the ramp first. There are some ramp cards you'll see that have a dual purpose, but you got Birds of Paradise, Blade Halfling, Nature's Lore, Revisits, and Farseek to make sure there's some ramp that is early that also doesn't get destroyed with board wipes. We got Bloom Tender, so a 5-color deck, so this loves that. Gatewatch Beacon allows you to put extra counter on a Planeswalker sometimes. Etheric Amplifier can also double a Planeswalker's ability, counters, but it is pretty expensive. It's 4 mana, so you're probably not going to be able to do that and play it on the same turn unless it's late in the game. We got Staff of Completion. This one I played with in the past. It can be very expensive life-wise, but it can also be decent. I just put it in here to test it again. I did take it out in the past. Got this Hidden Hand. Reduce all your Planeswalkers by 1, and this is really key for this deck. There's a third card, the Eerie Ultimatum, that I would put in this deck, but this, that, and you'll see Primeval's Glorious Rebirth, I believe it is. They're essential because a lot of times when I'm playing this deck, I'm not expecting my Planeswalkers to stick around that often. You know, I go into the match thinking anyone can attack my Planeswalkers and kill them the same turn they come out, yada yada yada. Obviously, people are more nervous about that than I actually am saying that. But so he's really good at allowing you to play the key cards. He can also allow you, I believe, yeah, you can play legendary instants and sorceries from your grave too. Very powerful card. Won me a lot of games. Honor Worn Shaku. You can tap a legendary permanent to untap this. It's tapped for 1 colorless. So you tap all your Planeswalkers, and suddenly you have a ton of mana that's colorless. And then Fabor Elder. Same as the Bloom Tender, really important for bursting mana. Sometimes I feel bad when I'm playing those cards, but yeah. We're going to go into the Planeswalkers now. So there's 27 in total. I got 12 ramp, 37 lands, 27 Planeswalkers, and 23 support and other types of things. Now I have chosen the Planeswalkers here, not out of likeness. Some of them maybe, a couple that I just have they're favorable to me, but a lot of times it's for utility and like the 3 bread and butter. Removal, ramp, and removal, draw, and board wipes. So you're not going to see a lot of Planeswalkers here that are just like whatever. Everyone is putting in their own work. They're not just going to sit around and do nothing. So, okay, let's start out with the most powerful Planeswalker in here, probably Oko, Thief of Crowns. Teo, Geometric Tactician, very powerful Planeswalker. You can turn the tide in any battle, any game state into your favor. He's also really good if you flicker him. You'll see with like Brago and whatnot. You'll see that later. Nissa Vastwoodseer. This is one of the old flip Planeswalkers. I say that old. I was young in my Magic adventure when this card came out. I love this card playing it as a mono green commander. I might again in the future, but for now, it's in here just to see how it runs. You'll see I did put 2 basic forests in here just so you can get it off later. But she's more of a later game kind of card. Teferi, Time Raveler, very powerful. You must almost always are -3 when it comes out. The plus doesn't really matter. The stack ability is pretty neat though. Amanatu, the Fate Shifter. So you can use her to blank Teo, and get more blockers. Also, so she's basically always also like allows you to copy in quotations any other Planeswalker's loyalty ability on the field and whatnot. We got Obnixilis, the Adversary. I love this card. In this deck, sometimes it's a little bit hard to get his token off, but he does, unlike the Jace where you can kicker to create a token version of him, which I don't have in this deck, as you'll see. Well, first let me go into why he's not here. I found that there's too few cards that actually care about Planeswalker matters in this deck, since my Planeswalker commander does not really care about the number of Planeswalkers on the field like Commodore Guff does. I don't really need to worry about creating them, so that's why I include Jace, because his plus and minus are really lukewarm. But Obnixilis, he creates tokens. His ultimate can burn for 7 or just draw a whole bunch of cards. His plus actually does get in there over the game. It's for each opponent, they either have to discard a card or lose 2 life, and can also gain you life. So sometimes he's hard to use, so I have taken him out in the past, but I really do like him in this deck, and I think if you have a Planeswalker deck, you should definitely give him a try. He's usually more of a late game card though. Then we got Commodore Guff. I don't think I need to say anything about him. He draws cards, gramps, puts counters on the other Planeswalkers. We got a Spark Double, very powerful card in this deck. Be able to copy any Planeswalker, because Planeswalkers are all unique, but be able to copy any of them and get a little bit more loyalty is just really clutch in some situations. So your opponent expects you to do one thing once per turn, now you can do 2 of them. Gets out of hand sometimes. Kaya, Ghost Assassin, mostly use her for the draw and discard ability. If you have Amanatu out, you can make everyone else discard 2 and you draw 2. Pretty good. And you can also just zero her to keep a Planeswalker in play, because sometimes it doesn't matter in this deck. Keeping a Planeswalker in play. We got Dahada, Binder of Wills, one of the most powerful Planeswalkers for Commander ever. She helps support that graveyard play I was talking about earlier with Kethis, if you don't really have much going on, or she just draws you cards and ramps. The plus doesn't really matter in this deck because our legendary creature is a Planeswalker, but she can be pretty good. I almost always use her for the -3 though. Where was I? Got Tameo, Field Researcher. The minus is pretty good, tapping 2 things, they untap, and the ultimate's very powerful. And the +1 is decent. We're not really getting in there, but the thing is, you can target your opponent's creatures, and they don't need to be dealing damage to a player. They can deal damage to anything. A Planeswalker, it says choose up to 2 target creatures. Until your next turn, when either of those creatures deals combat damage, you draw a card. So if they deal combat damage to a player or one of your Planeswalkers, you're drawing cards. So it's pretty good, especially if you have tokens out, you just throw them away. Teferi, Master of Time, very powerful Planeswalker. One of the most powerful in Commander because you can use the ability every single turn. Typically, when I play, I don't know why this is, but there's typically only one person who's a threat to me. Almost that can just snipe any of my Planeswalkers at a time. So when I'm able to use this -3 once per round, that's pretty good because I'm still netting one more plus one more loyalty counter per round. Plus also filtering through my deck, We got Nicobolus God Pharaoh. He's just in there because he can, Amanatu, do other things. But the main reason I wouldn't include him is because his cost is very prohibitive. 3 black, a blue, and a green. The triple black can be really hard to get sometimes. But I also do like his plus that he makes people exile something. His -3 isn't really that good. Vronos Masked Inquisitor is also a very powerful card introduced in the Commodore Guff deck. It can save you Planeswalkers. It also bounce 1 thing of each of your opponents. Pretty self-explanatory. Chandra, Legacy of Fire. I put her in here because she does a lot of things, but she doesn't do any one thing really spectacularly. She does burn your opponent, and it does matter sometimes. But and she does add mana, but it's all red, and you can see there's a whole slew of colors that aren't red. And she does draw you cards, quotation marks, but she doesn't necessarily draw you them permanently. So it's like, and she reduces the counter, so it's like, she's just there to sort of fit in wherever she needs to be at the time, you know. I wouldn't try to focus too much on her, although I did win a game with her ability, like hitting for 13 the other week. Well, Spider Queen, she's really there for her -3. You put her out, you -3. You can block flying creatures. When your creatures die, she goes back up, create more, or just draw cards. -8 is basically useless. And if I had more Planeswalkers, I might take her out. There might be some better ones at this point, but Elspeth Stormslayer, she's like the opposite of Chandra. All of her abilities are very strong. She makes 2/1/1s. You can put a counter on each of your creatures until your next turn they gain flying, which is really clutch. And she can destroy any creature with mana value 3 or greater. While she's also putting an effort, like if you Loth out, she creates 2 extra tokens, you know, stuff like that. So she can be very powerful. I haven't played with her yet, to be honest. I just bought one of her and threw it in here, but I don't see why she wouldn't be very good. We got Vraska Betrayal Sting. She can be removal, but you're mainly using her for her plus to proliferate and draw a card. And her ultimate can be threatening, but it takes a little while to get there. Elspeth Sun's Champion. Classic EDH. Planeswalker, creates blockers, destroys big creatures, and gives like an overrun effect for win con. Very clutch in this deck. You need to play her no matter what. Professor Onyx, I love this card too. Her stack really doesn't matter too much, but she does draw you cards, and she does kill the biggest things on the board. And sometimes people only have just big things on the board, like 1 or 2. So if you kill 1 or 2 of them and you have a couple blockers, you don't have to worry as much about protecting your Planeswalkers anymore. And we got Will Kenrith. He draws you cards and reduces the Planeswalkers down. You can also like debuff 2 creatures until your next turn. I really love him for the -2 though, because if he just drew cards, it would be okay. But since he reduces everything by 2 as well, and that includes certain instant sorceries you'll see later in the deck video, he can be very powerful. His ultimate's pretty useless in here though. This is only for instants and sorceries. Because another thing you want to know is that once you start doing the Planeswalker engine going, you know, you're going to want to start playing multiple in turn, and so you have like 3, 4, maybe 5, and he really helps out with that. So it's a lot harder for people to choose which one's the best to hit, if I can hit it at all, how much do I have to sacrifice in order to hit them, you know, yada yada yada. Then we got the Eternal Wanderer, one of the other key ones in here. With Elspeth, she's one of the board wipes in here. Or Elspeth's Sun's what? Sun's Champion, sorry. She's one of the board wipes in here, and she does very good at that. Her other abilities are okay. She can create like a decent blocker, and she can get rid of something until your next turn, because she can flick her opponent's things too. And she can only be hit by 1 creature, which makes her really hard to kill, especially if you are amassing tokens as we saw. Liliana, Dreadhorde's General. So this card can basically be a board wipe if you get it like on turn 6 or whatnot. So I consider her another board wipe, pseudo board wipe, especially if there are other things going on here. You know, there's a ton of cards, like at least half, if not more, of these cards hit creatures or create a ton of blockers, you know. And if she creates a blocker, she draws you cards. Her -9 is very powerful too. Yeah, Teferi Temporal Archmage, he's just really a ramp piece that can also he also works with the Chain Veil if you start getting things going with that, but other than that, I just use him to ramp a lot. You know, untapping 4 things is really, really powerful. Kaya, Intangible Slayer. She's really good at all the things she does. She can make a copy of a really powerful enemy's creature, or enchantment. She can drain opponents if you do a multiple Planeswalker activations a turn. That can get a lot really quick, and she can draw your cards. And she can't be targeted by any removal, which is really clutch sometimes. Nicobolas, God Pharaoh, he does, when you look at him, you're like, yeah, he's powerful, but he costs 7 mana. But he's really good at what he does. He exiles cards. The +2 is kind of because you're not sure what you're going to get. So you really only want to do it if you're trying to get to the +12. But if you want just -4. But if you're doing -4 and you're copying it, or you're doing it a second time in a row, that's 14 damage really quickly. His +1 also reduces your opponent's hand size. If you do it 2 times in a turn, that's -4 cards from their hand. And that's not discard, that's exiled. Him to get very annoying very quickly. And he almost always is worth his weight in gold the turn he comes out. Because he's 7 mana, so you're getting out pretty late, but you should have some resources built up by then. And then Nicobolas Planeswalker, I just put him in here because I wanted to play him. He can steal creatures, destroy lands and non-creatures, and his ultimate is easy to get to, I think, if you have enough turns, but he is 8 mana, so you have to be very careful about overextending into him, But that's all the Planeswalkers in this deck. As you can see, there's a big theme of removal and a little minor theme in tokens, and also just being able to control the board. But as you'll soon find out, there's no board wipes in this deck. I don't know, a lot of people complain when I hear them talking about Planeswalker decks. It's board wipe central. This deck has those 3. The Wanderer, Liliana, and Sun's Champion, Elspeth. There's other cards in there, like Vronos and other Liliana, that can deal 1 thing on each opponent's field. But those are only 3 real board wipes on this deck. Now, there's a lot of support in this deck for Planeswalkers, and I'll start showing it to you right now. So some of the cards in here are more generic support, things like Up the Beanstalk just draws me cards. I have a good slew of cards that cost 5 or more in here. And then we got Ripples of Potential, and we have Mutational Advantage. These cards protect our Planeswalkers. Either phase them out or prevent damage being dealt to them and being destroyed. We have a couple cards in here, but I'm just going to go over the rest of them in order at mana value by now. Reki draws a card each time we cast a legend. We got Leori, Spark Touched Hunter, copies all the Planeswalker abilities of a Planeswalker type that you played this turn after he deals damage. Ickermoon Gauntlet. This one obviously can create pseudo-infinite, but appreciably infinite turns. Because, let's say you have 7 Planeswalkers, you proliferate 6, and then you minus, and then the next turn you proliferate 6, and then you minus another one. So it basically goes infinite, but it's also really good just for the proliferation effect too. I almost always forget to do the additional counter effect, but it's a very powerful card. You definitely want to play one, even if it does feel lukewarm. Later in the game, it feels really good once you start building up Planeswalkers. Gilderbairn. This card I just like to play. You can untap it and pay 3 mana, which is a steep cost, to be honest, because how are you going to tap it in the first place? We usually attack someone with it and then double your Planeswalkers counters. Shanid, Sleeper's Scourge, same as Reki. We got the Chain Veil. All Planeswalker abilities can be done a separate time, another additional time this turn. If you don't know already, any Planeswalker, doesn't matter if they're on the field or not, when this resolves, we'll be able to do a second time. With Teferi, it would work where you just minus his ability infinitely if he's in the command zone. You just keep playing him, and he already has the additional times every single time previously that you played him. But not in this deck. This doesn't really go infinite with it, but it can go like non-deterministically infinite, if you know what I mean. But it's really hard. I usually don't get it out too often. It's pretty expensive to use, but I do like playing it because it can be pretty good. Rowan's Talent. I prefer this over the Chain Veil, to be honest, because it's a lot easier to use. The first part isn't that important, but the second part is whenever you activate, it's an aura that goes on a Planeswalker. When you activate the ability of that Planeswalker, copy it. It's very good with like ultimates or some of the more powerful abilities like Teferi and whatnot. You can get to using them, activating it multiple times a turn. That's like 4 times, you know. We got Karth the Lion. He's really good. Remember that he alters the number. He doesn't just put it up. So even like minuses, that would be like a minus ultimate, it would be like a -9. It really goes to a -8. You don't need 9 in order to use it. And he's really good if you're in a worse position because your opponents are killing your guys. But that's more like a backup effect that he gets to get Planeswalkers when your Planeswalkers die. Jehoiar, Weatherlight Captain, same as Reki. We got Brago, King Eternal. This guy allows you to do all your Planeswalkers a second time because he flickers them. They're new permanents. Very powerful effect. One of the most powerful effects supports 4 Planeswalkers in this deck. It's kind of strange because it's a flicker card, you know. Then we got Jaya's Phoenix, also very powerful. I kind of almost want to put like Entomb in this deck, just to put this in the grave, because this, whenever you play a Planeswalker, it comes out for free. You know what I mean? Urza assembles the Titans. Is a very good, I'm not sure if it's the word tempo is the right word, but very good like planning card, because you play it for its first one pretty much always, so you get a free legendary, a free Planeswalker, and then you can wait until the turn's over to get that free one into play. And then after that, you get, you know, double Planeswalker abilities for that turn. So, very powerful card. Oasis of Fairy, get to do Planeswalkers twice in a turn, very powerful. Deploy the Gatewatch. I like this card. It's not necessarily the best, but and the card I'm trying is Kodama of the East Tree. I'll probably take this out, to be honest, because once you go through your hand with it, there's not really much ways to like burst up again, but it can be pretty good in certain situations. We got Narset Enlightened Master. The Hexproof really puts it over the edge, and she is very powerful in an open board state. And then we got Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. Like I said earlier, this is a legendary spell. You can play it with Kethis from the grave. Sometimes when you're in a game, all you really want to do is be able to top deck this and hope that you top deck this, because there's no real way you're going to be able to keep your Planeswalkers around. So it has happened many games with this. I also want to put, I think it's Eerie Ultimatum, whatever the black, white, green one is that returns all permanents from the grave to the battlefield. I do want to put this in this deck. This is just real cards I have, and I haven't found one in person yet. So once that happens, I'll probably take out Kodama for this. Even though it is restrictive, it is like ridiculously good. Even if you get only like 3 or 4 Planeswalkers for 7 mana, and you'll be able to activate them that turn. It doesn't matter the mana cost. You know, you can get a Bolas, or if you're playing Ugin, you can get an Ugin out. Very powerful. Highly recommended for Planeswalker decks. And then the next 3 are sort of just cards that allow me to play a bunch of Planeswalkers at random at once. We got Genesis Ultimatum. Allows you to play any Planeswalkers from the top onto the battlefield and put any permanents there too. Very powerful card that I've experienced so far. I just put it in as of this version of the deck. And then we got Genesis Wave and the legendary version of Genesis Wave, Kamala's Druidic Vow, which only gets legendaries and lands on the battlefield. So sometimes you'll like lose cards in your grave from your top of your deck, because there's a lot of cards in this stack right here that are non-legendary, but you know, you're playing 27 Planeswalkers, there's some other legendary cards in there, so maybe upwards of 35 legends. You got 30 lands, that's a ton of cards. Plus you're really only caring about the Planeswalkers going into the battlefield at the end of the day, because that's our strategy. So this card has been very good to me. Both of them have. I would probably play that new Giant, the Vivid Giant, that allows you to get the next X permanents from the top of your library equal to the number of colors you have. That comes out in Lore when Eclipsed. But yeah, So after all said and done, I forgot to do the lands again. I guess I'll go over the strategy and I'll go over the lands just for. So with all that said and done, this deck really focuses in on sandbagging, basically. It sandbags, and then you have to choose a strategy of, oh, I'm going to get as much mana as I can so I can get those off, or I'm going to just kind of try to let my Planeswalkers snowball, or I'm just going to try to get all my Planeswalkers off of that Glorious Rebirth return, or Kethis, or whatever. And you just try to go one of those routes pretty much as you feel out the game, and hope your strategy works. There's a lot of ways to snowball Planeswalkers, as you saw, but sometimes it gets really hard if your opponent's in a big board state, and you really only have 3, maybe 4, 3 and 2 half board wipes, you know. But I'll go quickly over the lands. We got Reflecting Pool, Mana Confluence, Commander's Tower. We got City of Brass, the World Tree, Exotic Orchard, Great Hall, the Citadel, and Interplanar Beacon are both filter lands for Planeswalkers. We got 4 tri-lands in here. We got Ketria, Ralgren, Indatha, and Zagoth triomes. Then we got a playset of Shocklands. A playset of fetch lands. And then we got one random. I just wanted to make sure I had 37, so this deck has 37 lands in it. I just wanted to fill it out because that's my favorite number for a deck. We got Flood Grove. I just put this here, so because sometimes you get too many green or blue, and it just might be nice to filter out. Those are like the most common, I think. Although black would be nice, so maybe you'd want the black-green version of this, but because of Nicol Bolas, but just that one. And we got 4 basics. Now, beyond the whole Nissa thing and Nature's Lore and 3 visits thing, I did want to play some basics in here because sometimes you play against the group hug deck, and the way I play 5 colors, I typically maybe have 1 or 2. In the past, I put 1 or 2 basics in, and if you're doing like something like a voyage or whatever it's called, where you get X basics, it's like you can get behind real quick. So 4 is a good number, I think, to have just in case something bullshit like that comes up. There's 1 swamp, 1 plains, 2 forests, and that is the deck. With that said, I'm probably taking apart these 3 decks I just made. This deck in lieu of the new Elemental deck that just is coming out next week in pre-release, and I kind of wanted to make that Nissa deck just mono green with her as at helm, and the Taval deck was a little too powerful for my liking. So that's it, and hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about card choices or how it plays or whatever, just let me know down in the comments. Thank you.